Yeah, cool.
Hi, it's Chris Titley here, and we're on Scoreboard Live on I'm going to start that again. We're live here on the Sports Strategy Summit at the Brisbane Convention Centre at lunchtime.
Yes.
On halfway through, basically, and now I'm joined by Jess Golding. Jess, thank you for coming on and having a chat, an impromptu chat.
Yeah, I just rocked up. The Nat was doing an amazing talk before, and she's like, hey, if the desk is empty, go say hi. I'm like, here I am.
It was empty. Empty. That's right. But it hasn't been empty. We've done heaps of interviews today, and it's great of Nat to endorse. And Nat's been on our podcast, and a bundle of energy, infectious energy, as I call it. Speaking of infectious energy, you've got some energy, Jess. You've come over here, and you're bubbly. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so my name's Jess. I run a karting team called Jess Golding Motorsport. We're based out at Ipswich Kart Club. We race all around the country, but our main focus is about getting new people into the sport, really helping and developing that next generation, making sure they avoid all the pitfalls and stuff like that. And look, we've had some success along the way, but we're celebrating 5 years this year, which is a huge milestone. But, really proud to be in that space and one of the only, if not the only woman to own a karting team in this country.
Yeah, right. So what does that involve, owning a karting team in 5 years, obviously, through? Yeah, but, I want to know. I want to unpack it.
Yeah. So I actually started racing karts because my dad raced karts. And it's the world's best kept secret, this sport. But basically, this is where the next Oscar Piastri will come from. They come through the ranks. If you've watched Drive to Survive, the karting part, that's my world. So I got into it many years ago, and I've raced myself, an Australian champion, represented Australia twice overseas, raced cars, did that whole journey, but it was a little bit early for me with regards to funding and stuff like that. Now there's a lot of funding and interest around motorsport and women in motorsport, but I had an injury and I started my race team when I was recovering from that, and here we are 5 years later, thriving.
Here we are 5 years later. What's involved in the race team? Like, you've obviously got a team, but what does the team do?
What do we do? So, we have a lot of club, state and national level drivers. I do a lot of driver coaching, kart prep, a lot of education stuff on Instagram. We do programs called Racing Ready, which I started, which is a grassroots thing to help new people come into the sport and teach them the things that people just assume like mixing fuel, how to put your tyres on, the rules around, getting out on the track, and then up from there we do, more advanced driver training, event support, technical data, you name it.
Are you somewhat leveraging off the popularity of the Formula One thing? Is that kind of a tailwind for you?
I think that was really good timing, more than me just going, hey, I just thought I'd have this really great idea of starting a kart racing team, but I've been involved in the sport my whole life. My dad raced, I've raced, but in the last 5 years, it's like in the last 2 years, like my business, and I think a lot of other businesses in this game, in this sport in Australia, has just boomed. Like I've tripled my business in the last 2 years, which is thank you to Netflix. But it's fantastic. We're seeing a whole range of different people come into the sport because they're like, hey, what's karting? What's this about? So, yeah.
And then when you were competing yourself, what sort of speeds did you do? And are you a bit of an adrenaline junkie?
A little bit of an adrenaline junkie. I still race. I'm recovering at the moment from some broken ribs. I just raced at the Australian Kart Masters in Coffs Harbour about nearly 2 months ago now, where I sort of pushed through and kept racing with that. But I've got a bit of an adrenaline junkie thing in my body. I represented Australia in the Australian skeleton team for a few years, raced karts, raced Formula Ford, Formula BMW. Just love anything that's fast and close to the ground, really.
What's your relationship with fear?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think I've never really been asked that before, but I think any athlete sort of approaches it, or any business owner approaches it and goes, bring it on. I love it. I think you have to push through constantly obstacles and fear and just really believe in yourself. And I really try to instill belief in my drivers and just push through that fear, because there's so many things like the what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? And it's like, what if it doesn't happen? That's the stuff we're actually really afraid of, is what if it actually goes right? Then I'm going to have to do all this extra work, or what's the result of that?
And the mindset in around racing and getting in the flow state? Have you done a lot of work on that front, and when you're teaching drivers around mindset and getting into the right rhythm?
It's actually a really cool thing. I've only experienced the actual flow state a few times in my career myself, and trying to explain that to people, I think over time it becomes this natural thing. But for me, I try and look at each driver and like, how are they learning? Every driver learns differently, and we take people from never sitting in a go-kart. So like, we don't have kids that are advanced and 5-10 years in. So really telling them about, just breathe, you're in control here, it's all in your hands, all that sort of stuff. So I can say to them, I've done it, trust me, I'm not going to hurt you, to trust yourself. So, some people need to be calmed down and some people need to be revved up as well. So.
Yeah, different personalities, I'd imagine. But once you've finished in that flow state and you look back on that, what do you feel?
Like for me, it's nothing. And I think you've spoken to a lot of athletes and people that can get into that. I would drive and literally be like, what happened? Like you just can't remember anything, but you go, oh, wow, I won. And it's just that most beautiful feeling of floating, or that everything just slows down. And it's a pretty cool.
Did you ever look at your times and things and the scoreboard, or do you just go, right, I'm just going chasing whatever it might be? Like, were you looking around the corner for your opposition and things? Or
when I was in flow state?
Yeah.
No, it's funny. Like, there was only when I was at the top of my game when I was 17 years old, and that's a few years ago now. But I'd literally be driving around going, wow, they really need to cut the grass. Or, those sorts of weird things you start thinking
That's
about.
A new song that I haven't heard for a while.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, hang on, wait, no, focus here, someone's here. But it really becomes this almost floaty, and I did skeleton, as I said before, and you don't get a lot of times to go down that track, so you have to sort of talk and float with your hands, and people will watch me by the side of the track, and I'll be like doing all these weird movements. They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, it's probably something I've learned from skeleton, brought that back in here. Yeah.
We are through 5 years, right,
yes.
for you. Well, congratulations, and it's a huge monumental effort. My business is sort of 4.5 years. We haven't hit the milestone yet. But what do the next 5 years look like?
Well, I think growing and attracting more investors in our team is a huge thing, developing our drivers and really keeping them through the ranks and helping guide them to that next step, if that's the next step, but also seeing that karting in itself is a sport in itself. So you don't actually have to go to Formula One or NASCAR or be a pro. You can actually be a professional in this space in itself. So that's my job, is to really help educate people and to provide that knowledge, and as much as I can give, I will, but we also need partners and stuff like that to help us be able to give.
So businesses out there interested, they should connect with you, 100%. Look at your website, go direct.
Yep.
Karting as a whole, education is around content, around storytelling.
Yes, big time.
And what sort of things are you doing in storytelling on that front?
So we're doing actually a documentary with Channel 9 at the moment. So they reached out to me. I'm doing My Way, which will release at the end of this year or early next year. We're also doing a lot of education pieces. I've done a sort of a 5-part story following me and the team, which is on YouTube. You can watch that for free, and it just shows you sort of the insides of what karting is, like the stories behind it. The kids, they're little, they're 8, we've got so much pressure on them, all that sort of stuff. So we do a lot of storytelling in that thing. We do a lot of results stuff as well, but then we also do a lot of educational stuff as well, which is on our separate platform. So trying to tell the story and educate. And
then we're doing this interview in 5 years' time. What would you hope to have achieved?
I think it would be amazing if one of my drivers made it. That would be a real big tick for me. It'd be
like the teacher moment in school. They graduate from school. Yay!
Yeah, well, look, we've had state champions, state cup winners, club champions. Watching people tick those milestones and be able to experience that every single time is really cool. But definitely, if someone could make it pro through our program, I can see them. They come through our program, they learn the fundamentals and go off, and I'm just like, I had a little bit to play there.
A little bit to play, and that's success. That's so good. The prosperity piece, I love it. Yeah. So, Jess, thank you so much for coming on and having a chat.
Thanks for having me.
Go and get some food and network, and there's corporate sponsors out there, so you got to better go mingle and do your thing. But pleasure to have you on for a show.
Thanks.